Welcome back to Introduction to Climate Change Science, a lesson created by myself, Robert Bourgeois. I am Associate Professor of Anthropology and Humanities at Albertus Magnus College in New Haven, Connecticut. This lesson forms part of my Introduction to Global Studies course, and it was created to fulfill the requirements of a workshop held at Yale University this summer on global climate change and food security through the auspices of its programs in international and educational resources. We were just looking at desertification. We looked at Lake Chad. No, we didn't look at Lake Chad yet. I think, actually, I'm going ahead of myself. I've got to go way back. This is what we were looking at. We were looking at the Industrial Revolution as the genesis of the beginning of the acceleration of warming on the planet. Here's another picture, belching smoke. These are byproducts of the industrial processes being poured into the atmosphere, and this is still happening around the world. And this is a simplified equation showing the use of fuel, which is it could be hydropower, but right now most plants use gas-powered turbines. Gas comes ultimately from plant material, fossil fuels, plus oxygen, yielding the energy. There's the whole point of industrialization is cheap energy, but the byproducts are hydrocarbons, carbon dioxide, and water, which is also a greenhouse gas. This model here, this is the result of a model, and the chart is difficult to read, but it's based on thousands of calculations, which are trying to predict what's going to happen by the year 2100. And it predicts that the dry climates of the world will become drier, and the wet climates of the world will become wetter. And this is sometimes called the rich get richer and the poor get poorer scenario. And it is very sobering, not only because it predicts drying in general, but because it accentuates our awareness of the tremendous inequality of circumstances of people in the world. And, what does this mean? What does climate change, warming and the climate changes that warming produces, mean for human beings? Tracing out those consequences is what is meant by the phrase impact chains. Impact chains look at climate change and draw them through to the effects on human life. So we take big climate models, a picture of which I just showed you, and for the globe, and then we refine them down to regional climate models, and then we bring them down to finer scales. What does it mean that beetles now, because of warming, can kill off forests of pines? What does it mean that brittle grass dies without fertilizing the soil? Well, we bring all these changes down to finer scale models for the impact on human welfare, such as issues of health, access to food, agriculture, the economy, the stress of heat, law, and regulations. Now let's look at one impact or phenomenon of climate change, and that is desertification. That is to say, the growth of deserts, the creation of deserts which were once green areas. These show pictures from 1973, 1987, 1997, and 2001. The blue area here is Lake Chad, which has shrunk by 94% since the 1960s. Lake Chad is just on the borderline between desert and savanna, but it's being taken over by desert. This is a world picture, a picture of the whole planet, the systems of Earth on the planet, showing those parts that are desert and which are vulnerable to becoming desert. Everything that's gray here is desert, and you can see that vast parts of the earth are desert. These parts that are blue are too cold for most people to live in. So if you eliminate the blue parts and you eliminate the gray parts, and you see that wherever it's red or orange, these are parts of the world that are very vulnerable to becoming desert, which means that all these gray parts are growing, and they are shrinking what is left for human beings to live on, because in desert nothing grows. So it's very sobering. What are the causes of global desertification? The immediate cause is the removal of most vegetation. This is driven by a number of factors, alone or in combination, such as drought, climate shifts, tillage for agriculture, deforestation for fuel or construction materials. Well, that brings us to the end of part 7, and I will resume with you in I will resume part 8 in the next screencast.